But, Peter was tough, right? He was tough. I mean, he was tough. And, Peter's also the one that took someone's ear off because he was angry at what they did to Jesus. Yeah. He was a Mike Tyson. That's great.
Animal.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, you got something with this one, baby. 2024, let's go. People got it twisted. They think cause we Christian, we soft. Son, we saved, not soft. Let's go.
Clap your hands if you know that you've been saved. Do your dance if you know that you've been saved. Give him praise if you know that you've been saved. If you've been saved, then you put your whole self in. He takes your old self out. You put your new self in and turns your life around.
I represent Christ cause he is my everything. When I got saved, I got a mustard seed. Now that's the faith that he placed inside of me. I gotta let it grow and become what it's supposed to be. I get running like Forrest Gump cause I know I can't walk it out. I'm seeking God's face. Matthew 6 is what I'm talking about. Let the track blaze, let the smoke clear the haters out. I'm trying through the fire, but by grace I have made it out.
Yo, call them my boy
Isha.
He said don't walk it
Chrissy,
out.
You know how they say the power of 3?
Yes.
What if I told you that should actually be the power of 5?
What?
Yeah, the power of 5.
Say what?
So that's what we're going to talk about today. The power of 5 in support. So we know both professionally and personally, you need support.
Absolutely.
You're not meant to run it solo, right? Correct. Even though they say solo entrepreneur, you're not actually running solo. You have people in your life helping you. Mm-hmm. And we've talked throughout the episodes about mentors.
Yes.
And again, we want to shout out our mentor, Tiffany McIntosh. She is amazing, and she has really shifted our mindset for all of that. And I think that is absolutely important for a mentor to do.
I'm going to give it a little shout out again. Also, Tiffany, Calvin, and Michelle Kofer.
Yeah.
They have all been very instrumental, personally for me, for over the time period. But Michelle Kofer has recently come into our group as well. Very instrumental in helping me move quickly and set up a new business, and just a lot of ways, a lot of support, and a great mentor.
Yeah, and I want to shout out to a mentor I had years ago, Donovan. He really, really got me to see past the 9-to-5 grind and what could be more there. And you need that. You need those kind of people that will challenge not only you with your personal goals and how you set yourself up, but also your mindset. And that makes a really good mentor, which I believe everybody should have. And do you know that mentoring is biblical?
Yes. Wait a minute. I forgot somebody.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
My thought process just kicked in here. So we also have a new mentor, Colleen.
Yes, we do.
Edwards Chesley.
Yes. She is amazing.
She is amazing. And she has helped us with our business also, leveling up and networking. And instrumental. You yourself cannot be a mentor until you've been a mentee. That's for sure. And you have to know how to show up.
Right. You have to know how to show up, and you have to know how to lead people when sometimes they don't want to be led.
True.
And so, when I said it was biblical, I meant the relationship between Paul and Timothy in the Bible.
Absolutely.
I believe that in your life, you need to have people with biblical qualities in your life to help you along your path.
And let's talk about that. And let's break it down.
Let's break it down. So let's talk about the 5 people that you need.
Yes.
In my opinion.
In your opinion.
In my opinion. You need a Peter.
You need a Peter.
You need a Peter. If you're not familiar, Peter was one of the fishermen out in the boat. But why you need a Peter is you need someone that's going to go to bat for you.
Yes.
Right. And so we saw
he's a lead off batter.
Right. We saw a couple things with Peter. He's like, I know how to catch fish. And Jesus is like, need to throw the net to the other side. Like, good job, guy. But Peter He was tough, right?
He was tough.
I mean, he was tough. And, Peter's also the one that took someone's ear off because he was angry at what they did to Jesus. Yeah. He was a Mike Tyson. That's great.
Animal.
Right. That's awesome. We love you, Mike. I love Mike
animal.
Tyson.
We do, yes.
If you can ever hear Mike Tyson's backstory, I highly recommend
and
you listen to
Mike Tyson's new show.
Oh, yeah. We saw it on TV. He's got a new show coming out.
Yes.
So, Peter, he was there and then he wasn't there.
Right.
He denied Christ 3 times. And when the rooster crowed, he felt all that sorrow.
Yes.
But he ended up back in there. And the 2 things stand out to me for Peter. Right. He went to bat, right?
He did.
And you need someone in your life
that's going to stand next to you.
That's going to stand next to you and stand up for you.
Absolutely.
And is willing to do what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Right? But another thing about Peter is he was the rock of the church.
He was.
Yes. He reconciled through getting over denying Christ. He was all about his purpose. And he is the rock of the church.
You're right.
And so you need that style of person that can rise above the circumstances and do it. So you got to have a Peter in your life. Mm-hmm. You need a James. And a lot of this, James, the book of James in the Bible is always often referred to as the book of truth because it is so in your face. I know when I belonged to a church, they would always say, "Dang, James," when you're in the book of James. Because,
right.
I mean, personally,
brutal.
It's brutal. It's just up front in your face. If you don't like
that's
it.
That's how we like it.
That's too bad. Move on to the next verse because it ain't going to get any better. And so you need that style of person. You have got to have a truth teller in your life.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing. Don't lie to me and let me put out something that is not my quality because you were too afraid to tell me the truth.
Yes.
Because, respect is earned, but disrespect is also earned.
You're absolutely right.
Respect me enough to make me put out the best version I can get to. Mm-hmm. In anything you do. For me, I'm talking about book writing.
Sure.
Because if you let me put out junk that is not to my ability, I will feel so and I will have so much disrespect for you, and we will probably sever the relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's a hard line for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do more, then hold me to it.
Yes.
Hold me to it and make me do it. Or if you're not the one to make me do it, help me work on my mindset to get there to make me do it.
Lead you to it.
Right. Don't let me put out that kind of junk. Right.
Right.
Just don't do that.
I'm your girl.
Right. I don't do it for you.
And you're not.
Don't do it for me. Like I tell people when I'm dealing with them, I don't sugarcoat anything, so I don't expect you to sugarcoat it to me. Yes. Just give it to me. Be brutal. Be honest. I may not talk to you for a couple days because I got to get out of my feelers and let it digest, but I will have so much respect for you for doing it that way. I tell people, if you can stand toe to toe with me and just be in that phase, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Because I know when crapo hits the fano, you're still going to be that way.
Yeah.
You're not going to bail and run with an umbrella. Right. You're going to stand there with me in the crapo.
You better believe it.
Coming from the fano. And then we'll have to go take a shower because we won't smell too good. And so you need that type of person in your life. And then you need a John.
You definitely need a John.
John. John in the Bible is often referred to the one Jesus loved the most, right? And
His favorite.
Yeah, which you can entail and analyze to yourself, favorite, right?
Yeah, favorite.
And but I look at this different. A lot of people have a problem with John referring to himself that way.
Was John the Baptist or?
No, not John the Baptist, John the disciple.
John the disciple.
Yeah. John the Baptist was hugely important because he was the one that came ahead of Jesus.
Leader.
But he also baptized Jesus.
Right.
And he did not feel worthy to baptize Jesus. Like that's a really important part about John the Baptist. But he did it because Jesus said this is the way it has to be. But when John the Baptist was thrown in prison because, Herod, yes, King Herod, the lady wanted John Baptist's head on a platter.
Yes.
And King Herod did that. But in that time, John the Baptist sent his disciples to Jesus. Are you the one? Well, John the Baptist knew he was the one.
He knew he was the one.
But it just shows that when you're in that type of traumatic experience and you know what that outcome is going to be, I fully believe John the Baptist knew what was going to happen to him in the end. And I think the human side of him came to play. I don't believe that he did not believe Jesus was the one. He was the foreteller. John the Baptist was the foreteller to Jesus. I don't think he questioned that. I think the humanness in him, he was human, but there's that piece of ourselves that when we're in times of despair, agony, and sorrow, we question what we believed in, what we know to be true. We question our belief in it, right?
Absolutely.
It's a response, right? So, we're talking about John the disciple, him and his brother James, the sons of thunder. Is what they and these guys, they were all about justice. Jesus had to put them in their place a couple times. But what is important about him is, and this is why I think it's different, John was the only one at the cross, right?
Yes, at the end.
He was the only one at the end at the cross. And Jesus is up there. And you have him saying down to John, this is your mother. And for me, this is very profound. And again, these are my thoughts on what is happening. If you think about it, if you are going to turn your mother over to someone, there has to be a level there.
Yeah.
There has to be a level there. And so I never found it weird, strange, egotistical, or anything that John called himself the one Jesus loved the most. Mm-hmm. Because Jesus had to love him. Not that he loved him more than the others, but he turned his mother over to him. Mm-hmm. For me, that's a big deal. Like, I won't give my mother to just anybody. That's not going to happen. And so for me, I kind of think of it that way. Now, whether that's a popular opinion or not, I have no idea. But you got to have that one that will make it with you to the end.
Sure. That
will be standing by your side at the end of your time. And if you have that person or two, you are extremely blessed in this life.
Absolutely.
Because everything that happened in the Bible, John, he didn't waver.
Right.
Like, he didn't waver away from Jesus. And he was one of the disciples that died on his own, died of a natural death, even when he was at Patmos. So I think that's really important and a completely different take on John. Like, personally, I'm like, I'm all down for you guys. Justice prevails. But you need those three kind of people to walk with you. Now, the other two is this will apply to your personal and your business. And this is Paul and Timothy.
Yep.
This is a mentor-mentee situation. Paul, so if you're not familiar with the Bible, Paul was Saul.
Right.
Saul hated Christians. And Paul, he wrote a majority of the New Testament. Like, his transformation, you could call it, is nothing short of amazing. And if you ever have a chance to watch any of the plays or anything that are done about the book of Acts and about Paul, go see them, because it's very enlightening what you see. But, Paul really understood what it meant to be a mentor. Mm-hmm. He trained up Timothy. I almost said Tiffany. He trained up Timothy. And then he said, go.
Told him. Send him on his way.
Go and report back.
Yep.
Now, Paul didn't go with Timothy.
Right. He was
not all the time. He's like, I've trained you up. Mm-hmm. It's your time to go and go check on these people. And so sometimes in your life, you are the mentor.
True.
Other times in your life, you are the mentee. But if you've never been a mentee, you cannot become a mentor.
So true.
Because how are you going to learn if there's no one teaching you? You know, you don't want to mentor people through the school of life's hard knocks. You don't want to do that at all. You know, I mean, people can, but, you know, what kind of value is there in that? So you have to learn from people above you.
True. To get
You know,
better.
you don't want a mentor that's on the same level as you because you're in the same mentality. You want someone above who has done what they're talking about and they have a good track record at it. And then, you know, and I believe you're not with the same mentor your whole life.
Oh, no. Because you're not, if you're with the same mentor your whole life, you're still not growing.
Right. You have to go.
As you should be.
You have to go to another level. And every time you do, you need a different mentor. That doesn't mean you can't become friends with your mentor. I'm still friends with my mentors.
Oh, absolutely.
They played an important role in my life. And I'm one that always believes in giving a shout out to the people that helped you get there.
Absolutely.
You know, they deserve the credit that they deserve for what they did in your life. And I think that's important, especially in support. Because I mean, a lot of people have I'm going to put it all out on Facebook. And I am always like, why? You know, a lot of times we learn people passed away on Facebook.
Right.
We don't get the phone calls anymore. Hey, there was a post on Facebook. Did you not see the post on Facebook?
Nope.
It's like, what do you mean a post on Facebook? And so you have that. But, you know, Facebook for me was the updated version of MySpace years ago. And,
Yes.
and we're starting to give our age. You know, it for me, it wasn't built for what it is now. You don't need to air everything out on Facebook. You don't
Everything's not up for debate.
Right. You don't need all your dirty laundry out there and everything. And, you know, we touched on this before. I'm certainly not going to go on Facebook and ask people to pray for me. I'm just not going to do that. That's me personally. I have people that I go to pray for me because I want to make sure they're praying to the right person, the God we believe in, and they're praying about the thing I'm asking them to pray for. And I think that's important that you have to figure that out in your life for support.
Absolutely.
Now, Ty, there is a verse in the Bible, if
Okay.
you could look this up, where it talks about where two go together.
Okay.
We'll check back in with you in a little
Where
bit.
two go together.
Yes.
Yeah. So it talks about one and then where two to go together. And then
Two or more.
two or more go together. And, you know, it brings you back to the three in the furnace
That's right.
in the Bible, right? This story has fascinated me forever. Ever since I became a Christian and turned my life over to God, I'm fascinated by this story. You know, you have this in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, and you have the three go in the fire. And it's because they would not do what Nebuchadnezzar wanted them to do. And their punishment was to go in the fire. So they decided that they were not the three going into the fire, but the people doing the fire. It was going to be the hottest fire they ever had, right?
Right.
Like, you guys are going to be like ash when we're done. Like,
Yes.
and so they go in the fire, and then people are like, there's a fourth person in the fire. Like, there's someone else, and, you know, it's like, what is happening here? And then, you know, Nebuchadnezzar wants them out of the fire, but only three people come out of the fire. And so that's, for me, that is always a story of, if you have to find people
Who's willing to walk through the fire.
who's willing to walk through the fire with you, but you are aligned together.
Absolutely. You
Because
have to be aligned.
none of them, of those three, ever wavered. They didn't waver from what they believed in.
Absolutely.
And you have to walk to that, you know, like birds of a feather flock together. You know, if you're a creative and you're sitting at a table of creators, the conversation is different. It's just a different vibe. So it was like a different vibe for them in there. And you know, if you're of the faith, you know, the fourth person in the fire, you know who he was.
Absolutely.
You know, he walks with you all the time and do that. So, you know, Keisha, I'd love to get your take on if you agree about those five people, and if there is another one in the Bible, because I do have another person from the Bible that I think you need to have that style person in your life. But what do you think about those people, and would you add any of them?
So Peter, James, John, Paul, and Timothy. Well, we definitely have a rock in our group was a Peter.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely have a James, truth teller.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know who's the favorite. A Paul and a Timothy, yes, we have those, a mentor and a mentee. I think so in our group of people, but
and also in our business. We have structured our business that way as well.
We do have our business structured that way, but are we missing someone?
Do you think there is another character in the Bible that would be helpful to have in your life?
A Matthew.
A Matthew. Why do you say Matthew? I'm curious. Because, Matthew was the tax collector.
He was the tax collector.
And back in those times, they were treated worse than dogs.
That's true.
And he worked for the Romans until Jesus come and said, hey, I need you to follow me.
Follow me.
And Matthew did, and he did not get a good response.
You're right.
But, probably because, when you see Matthew in the movies, he's the note taker.
He is the note taker.
I think that really speaks to you as being the note taker.
Scribe, yeah.
He was the scribe, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I can't think of anybody else.
So another person I would throw in there would be Barnabas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know why you choose Barnabas.
And there's two unique things about Barnabas. Barnabas is often referred to as the great encourager. You need an encourager in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely need someone. But here, when you think of Barnabas for business,
yes.
Paul and Barnabas. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Paul and Barnabas.
Okay.
Two people that had big assignments on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they did not mesh well together.
No, they're tempers.
Because of a third player in the game.
Right.
Right? Like Barnabas wanted to send him, Paul did not, and they both had their reasons for doing that. And it created a rift between them two. Mm-hmm. And past that, you don't hear anything else about them. Like Barnabas went his way, Paul went his way, and you have no idea what happened after that. You don't know if they reconciled. You don't know if they met up along the way. You don't know any of that. But I always really think of this when it comes to conflict resolution.
Okay.
Sometimes you are paired with a person, usually by your own doing, and both of you have large assignments.
Ooh, that's true.
And sometimes you don't see the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I feel about Paul and Barnabas, and again, these are my feelings and my interpretations. If they had stayed together, I don't think that would have been beneficial for the kingdom.
Okay.
Because you have two.
They each had their own assignment.
Right. You had two heavy hitters in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And both carrying a lot. And there's so much like conflict there, unresolved, by their own choices.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a healthy pairing. And
equally yoked.
Right. And for me, well, I think they both were equally yoked in their assignments, but there was a difference of opinion.
True.
And both were pretty set in their opinion, and not yielding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when you look at it that way, had they stayed together, I think it would have been a detriment for the kingdom, because they would not have gone on to do the things that they did. Because sometimes we stay in the conflict without any resolution and we miss opportunities.
Sure.
And sometimes you have to break free of that pairing. Now, obviously, you want to do it in a healthy way. And by healthy, I do not mean go and bash that organization or that person, or you don't need to do any of that. Listen, God's going to take care of all of that stuff. You don't even need to worry about it. Just go do what he told you to do with the people that he's sending to you, and don't worry about it. And we both have had this experience in our lives.
Yeah.
And we had to come to a point where we're like, you know what? God's going to take care of it. What it is. I don't know if 20, 30 years down the road, if there'll be some reconciliation, and I don't believe there has to be on this side of heaven. And, I loved when Ty Tribbett talked about it. He said, and sometimes when you get to heaven, they just need to be on another cloud.
They just need to be on another cloud.
They need to be on another cloud, and we'll be on a cloud. And I think that's true if you approach it that way. But you have to leave that pairing in a way that still holds your integrity.
Absolutely.
If you've done something wrong, then you take the responsibility for what you did wrong, and you still break with integrity, because it's going to follow you. Mm-hmm. And what happens when we don't do that? We tend to be in a repeatable process. Right? We're going to find ourselves in the same situation eventually.
It's karma.
And we're going to have to see if we make a different decision. So that's my feeling on Paul and Barnabas. Mm-hmm. Both big hitters.
I think I have something here.
Okay, did you find it?
I think I did. I dug a little deep. Mm-hmm. It said the Bible verse that speaks of two or more coming together is Matthew 18:20.
Matthew.
It says, for where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.
Yes. That is what we were looking for. Another thing to look up, Ty, is in the book of Matthew.
Okay.
But I don't know what chapter. It's the Beatitudes.
The Beatitudes.
Mm-hmm, the Beatitudes. So I think these are important.
It's Matthew 16.
I want to say it's a little earlier in Matthew, but I'm not sure. I think these are important to have on a written note card.
Oh, yeah.
These are the promises of Jesus. And sometimes when things get very, very difficult, you lean on these.
You do lean on these.
A lot of people are like Psalm this or Romans this or we have he will not forsake you. But I really fall back to the Beatitudes.
Yeah.
Because they're like there. Like, this is going to happen. There's no question this is going to happen to you in your life. And this is the response. Mm-hmm. This is the Jesus response. The living your life in a way that is a tribute to Jesus. This is the response. And I think those are really important. And, you got to know what works for you.
Yeah.
And you have got to find the support people. And you got to know who they are.
Absolutely.
When we talk about, I have a pastor that every week we text, hey, how can I pray for you?
Yeah. So important.
He's my friend. Yes, he's a pastor, but in the end, he's my friend. And I'm going to go to him when I have questions. And even when we had a book project, I went to him and I'm like, this isn't sitting right, because what I know about what they're talking about, I think goes against what our belief is, but I really need your insight on it, because you are a pastor and you have deeper insight into this than what I do. And he come back and said, this is a no. When a pastor is telling you it's a no,
it's a no.
It's a no. It's not, well, what if we have him change it? I was like, okay. I will go talk to this author. And, we didn't end up doing the project because it went against what we believed in it. And I think you have to hold to that.
Absolutely have to hold to that.
You have to hold to that.
Find it?
Did you find the Beatitudes?
I believe I did.
Okay.
The 8 Beatitudes of Jesus?
Yes.
Okay, I'll read them off.
Where are they found in Matthew?
Matthew 5 3, 10.
Beginning.
Mm-hmm. It says, blessed the poor in spirit, for theirs the kingdom of heaven. Mm-hmm. Blessed they are whom mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Mm-hmm. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, I mean, they just like sit in your spirit.
Wow.
And it's like, you know, he is saying, even though this is happening to you, you are blessed by the kingdom. Mm-hmm. You know, and for me, that's the blessing I'm looking for.
Amen. Every day.
Faith is really big in what we do. And we've aligned ourselves with people of like-mindedness in that way. And I felt it was important to do an issue about that, looking at it from a biblical point of view, because it really makes you start looking at people.
Yes.
I think sometimes we get so caught and enamored by people that we don't look past that to see if they have anything that we're going to be looking for. You know, like everyone can't be your friend. You can't be a friend to everybody. You just can't. It is not humanly possible to friend every single person alive in this world. But, you know, you can be friends with people and acquaintances with others. And then you have your inner circle. These are like my biblical people. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, it's a short list. That's why it's usually a dot and not a circle. But, you know, Keisha, how do you feel about having that type of approach to people, looking at them through like a biblical lens?
Well, I think that it gives you more perspective. But again, let's review one more time. Peter was a fisherman. He was the rock of the church. James was the truth teller. He had great purpose. John was his favorite.
And John and James were brothers. They were the sons of thunder.
You're right. But John went through a lot of transformation, you know, and we need people in your life that'll help you get through transformation. And Paul was
he was not a nice man to a good man.
He was not. And then Timothy was the mentor. He was the great reporter.
Yeah,
and
Timothy
Barnabas
was the mentee.
was the great encourager. So I think you need all of those people in your life. And if you don't, you're missing out.
Yeah, I think another thing about Paul, for his whole story in the Bible, no one should say they can't be transformed and cannot become something new from giving their life over to God.
Well, we know that it's
Jesus.
true because people transform all the time.
Exactly. Like I tell people, if you don't think it's possible, read about Paul in the Bible and take note of when he was Saul, because he was not a very nice man. Right. I mean, there wasn't anything nice about him at that time.
That is the point of transformation, from who you are to what you're becoming.
Right.
And he gave his life to become somebody different.
Right. And then you have the guy that was called on to go get Paul on the road and bring him back. And he's like, why does it have to be me? And are you sure that's the person I need to go get? Because at the time he was told to go get Saul. And now this guy knows what Saul does to people. And he's like, I think maybe you pulled the wrong stick from the plow here. Right. And it's not really my name that's on there. Again, we're paraphrasing. These are our thoughts and how we read into it. But I'm not so sure I would have wanted to have been that person either.
I don't know if I would have drug him back there either.
You know, he went and got him and he was obedient to what God told him to do. And sometimes God tells you to go do some hard stuff and stuff that you don't necessarily agree with because you don't see the benefit or even see the purpose of why you have to go do that. But God knows what he wants you to do and why he wants you to do it. And sometimes
I take obedience over sacrifice every day.
I'm telling you, obedience, right? You have
hard lessons, but you got to learn them.
Right. You have to be obedient in your faith. You have to be obedient to your goals and your purposes and your finances and your time management. And if one area is out of your life, they're all out. You know, I've always found it interesting where people are like, I'm spiritually drained, but every other part of me is thriving. And I'm like, how exactly is that possible? Because if one part of you is drained, that's affecting the other parts of you. And so we're just not going to touch it, or we just don't see it because we're so focused on being spiritually drained or on emotional overload or emotionally empty that we don't really see the toll that takes on the other ones a lot of times until it's too late.
And then every single area of you is
above 50% on the wrong side of the meter. And so it's important to reflect and to know what you're doing. But I think for me, the most important thing about this is who you align yourself with and the soil that you're planted in and where you're planting your soil.
Has to be good soil.
It's got to be good soil. And, you know,
have to do vetting of people.
Oh my gosh, you have to vet people. You have got to vet people.
Who your friends are. Know who you're spending time with.
You
know the person.
Right. And you have to know what they're doing, because when you go into business with them, you are bringing that into yourself and the people that you are carrying and you're partnered with. And, you know, it all rolls in together. So it's all really important. And I think it's really, really important to know that. And again, it comes back to being truthful with yourself, because we may not want to cut somebody from our life, but we know that, they need to have, maybe not be cut, but have a lesser role.
Yes.
In the chain of where we put them.
And when you're growing to new levels, you just can't take everyone. You just can't.
No, you can't.
You cannot. And people who have mistaken your kindness for a weakness, who have done things to you in the past, you have to you have to be able to look at people and take them for who they are.
Right. And don't have your main goal just to make those people proud.
No.
That should not be what drives you for anything. You don't need that from people. You don't need the applause. You don't need any of that stuff. You need to do what God has told you to do.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't get your applause till you get in heaven.
That's right.
And so you have to know that. So, hey, Keisha.
We're wrapping the season up.
Season 1
in the books
is a wrap. Season 1 is a wrap. Can you believe it? We finished season 1.
So this has been a whirlwind.
It has been a whirlwind, but hey, before we get to that, let us know how you've structured the people in your life, and do you have that biblical view of it?
Yeah.
And
I'd like to know.
And what you think about that. You know, do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? And why on either way?
Yeah.
And if you have an experience of having to do that with people, we want to hear that too. And listen, you want to hit the subscribe button so you know when all the other stuff comes out.
Yes.
And until then, stay uncharted, and we'll see you then.
We're out.
Peace, everybody.
It's a wrap.
Woo!
We did it!
Yes!
Let's celebrate.
Hey, this is Keisha. It's important that you leave your comments because we'd love to know about it. We'd also like for you to subscribe, like, share, and tag. See you next time.
Hi, this is Chrissy. Thanks so much for watching our episode today. Be sure to stay tuned for our featured song. Can't wait to see you next week.
Gasping for breath, can't leave my bed. I'm in a mess inside my head. My heart is racing, my mind is spacing. Hunger for less chaos, dread. Drowning and drenched, I feel entrenched deep from within my struggle, kicking to the surface. I wanna feel the purpose in my struggle. Brick after brick, tumbling down. Help me to clear this rubble. Drowning and drenched, I feel entrenched deep from within my struggle. Testing Suffering builds character, then why can't I beat? Why can't I beat the struggle? Oh, why can't I beat the struggle? Anxiety, depression, compulsion, obsession, comparison. I've learned my lesson. God help me with this question. If God provides strength when I'm weak, and suffering builds character,